Now, the property for the hardness, apart from mechanical support, it is going to provide surfaces for muscle attachment, protection of delicate parts, and then it is also going to raise the body above the ground. Then it is pigmented so that it can bring the camouflaging for protection. Then we have on the regions of the eye, it is transparent to allow the light to pass through. Then in terms of density, it is lighter in weight so that it is able to accommodate less weight, and therefore the animals are able to fly. Then we have the modification. Apart from being thin at the joints, then they are going to be modified to form various parts. That is the different mouth parts which you require. I hope when you are making the observation of insecta, you went to open the end of grasshopper, then check the mandibles, the maxilla, and we have the labia and the labrum there. Then we have also different types of wings, which you are going to check again in evolution. So basically, we are saying that the exoskeleton is excreted. It is secreted by the epidermis, and the carbohydrate that is contained there is the chitin or the chitin. Any point of clarification there? Then we move to the complex skeleton, that is the endoskeleton, which is found inside. The exoskeleton is found outside. Then the endoskeleton, it is found inside. And that is where the teachers and already covered the axial appendicular skeleton, the axial and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton consisting of the skull. Then we have the ribcage, the sternum, and the vertebral column. The sternum, we have the axial skeleton consists of the skull. You have the ribcage, Then from the ribcage, we've got the vertebral column. Mr. Onani went further to saying that the skull is made of small pieces of bones, which are fixed, and therefore they form immovable joints. The joints which are found there, they are referred to as the saccians, and therefore they do not allow any movement. Remember that when the fetus has already reached the 9 month, during the parturition, the skull is not completely formed, and therefore it leaves a space on the frontal lobe of the cranium that is referred to as the fontanelle. Charles Borough. Do you have an experience or a time when you've interacted with a fontanelle? In young ones, 0 to around 3 years, we have a space on the end where there is some pulsations at the top of the head because the skull is not complete. Therefore, the brain is much exposed and it is only protected by the membranes and also the skin. So in any case, you press the child at this point, then you have the tendency of damaging the brain. That region is referred to as the fontanelle. Then you checked also on some structures where you're saying that apart from the fixed joints, you've got the skull will have the sockets, which are going to protect the internal organs, particularly the olfactory organs. That is the eye, the tongue, and we have the nostrils there. Then we have the mandibles, which we talk about the jaws, which are normally having a movable joint that is only going to allow moving only on one side. It is going to be referred to as the hinge joint. Then at the back of the cranium, at the back of the skull, we have some protrusions, which are referred to as the occipital condyles. The occipital condyles at the back of your skull. The two protrusions that are going to articulate with the vertebral column. The first vertebral column that is referred to as the axis, the atlas, sorry. So when they articulate, you'll find that the end is able to move sideways, or it is able to move up and down. When you are saying yes, or when you are rejecting a situation in which you are encountering. Okay. Dennis. Looking at that skull, Kibi what? Kibi what? Do we have any question about the skull? Gentlemen, do we have any question about the skull?
No, no, madam.
Okay. We shall give the scars when you come in the lab, both the human and also other animals, particularly the goat, and also the crocodile scars there in the lab. You will interact with them. Moving down to the rib cage. Moving down to the rib cage. You have the rib cage is made of 3 regions. You have the front, that is the sternum. Then we have the ribs. Then at the back, you have the vertebral column. You interacted with the rib cage when you are covering the inhalation and exhalation. Can we have somebody to recap that? What happens during inhalation and exhalation? What happens during inhalation and exhalation?
The rib bulge.
Yeah.
The ribs bulge out.
The ribs. Yep. Clarity, young man. Yes.
The rib during inhalation move outward.
Is it true? That's called a correct concept, but then wrong biology. Correct concept, but wrong biology. How is it supposed to be?
During inhalation, the rib cage moves upwards and outwards.
It is the cage. It is not just a rib, okay? It is a system of 3 structures: the ribs, the sternum, and the vertebra. So it is not only the rib which is moving, it moves as a system, okay? So we have the rib cage moves upwards and outwards. And the reason it's because of the intercostal muscle. So we are saying that the endoskeleton brings about the movement, and the movement is brought about by the skeletal muscles, which are attached there, and they will be attached with the use of the tendons. Now, using the rib cage, then we say that the sternum is divided into 3 sections. You have the uppermost part is referred to as manubrium. Then we have the body, and then we have a region which is going to be referred to as xiphoid region, which I've not indicated there. Then we have the ribs. We have the first rib is going to be articulating with the scapula that is at the back. Then the rest of the ribs will articulate from the back of the body on the vertebral column through the cervical vertebra, that is cervical number 7. And then we have the thoracic vertebra, which is on the thorax from the back. Then there are those which do not articulate at all with the sternum. So we shall categorize the ribs into 3. We have the true ribs, you have the false ribs, and then we have the floating ribs. As a man, how many ribs do you have? Changamkeni, how many ribs do you have? or the XX, okay. I'm strictly referring to the XX, yeah? The XX or the XY?
12.
So can we use the number of ribs to classify the human being in Animalia?
Yes.
Yes? Hapana? Kuna wanaume wako na 12, kuna wanawake wako na 12, kuna wengine wako na 13. So who is who? And then we have, I think, if Adam has lesser ribs compared to Eve gave rise to human beings who have the XX. Is it true? It is not. Do we have human beings with 13, men who have 13, women who have 13? So scientifically, it is not believed that Eve came out from the fella Adam. It is not true scientifically. So I'm not criticizing your religion and your belief. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So kama wewe uko na 3 and uko na 13, then I think your Eve is not yet created. You are yet to be given one, yeah? So during the holiday, make sure that you do not get somebody's Eve. Sawa?
Yes.
Hakikisha hujapata ya mwingine. Edward, don't make sure that you do not take Enoch's rib, yeah? I don't know whether you come from the same county. Now, in the aspect of the endoskeleton, I hope your teachers told you that we have different views which we look at. We have different views which we look at. If you are looking at the bone from the front, that is referred to as the anterior view. Umeangalia mwanaume kwa sura hapo. Then from the back, then it is referred to as the posterior view. From below, that is referred to as the vertebra. From the side, it is going to be referred to as the lateral view. And then for the long bones, particularly the appendicular skeleton, that is the fore limbs, and then we have the hind limbs. We shall be referring to them as the proximal length. That is in terms of the closeness to the central line of the body. If the bone, the central line is there from the nose to the leg and all those other body parts, which I may not mention because I do not know who is who on the wall. That is the central line, the axis of the body. So if the part of the body is close to the axis, we refer to it as the proximal end. If it is far away, it is a distal end. Just as the way we referred to them as the proximal convoluted tubule and the distal convoluted tubule in the kidney nephron. When it is far, it is distal. When it is near, it is a proximal. Those are the views which we look at. Sawa?
Yes, mwalimu.
Now we have the rib which we said that it has a soft part. Mkikula Christmas, if you are going to slaughter a goat, make sure that at least you have discovery, interest of what is happening. Chop the end. Before you chop, make sure that you open that mouth, see the dentition that is in Form 1. You are able to identify the oni part and the diastema. Then you are also able to look at the ear so that we can be able to tell you that all animals, all mammals have the external ear, which is referred to as the pinna. That is when you are eating, when you are slaughtering the goat for Christmas on Sunday. And those others who will not slaughter, I think they have already slaughtered, the Muslims and the non-believers who are amongst us. Then as you roast, check whether you are able to identify the parts which are referred to as the occipital caudales at the back of the skull. Then the moment you remove the skin and the flesh which you've eaten, then you are able to identify the joints that are referred to as the saccias. For the rib, you've got two regions. You have the costal cartilage of the rib that is attaching the rib to the sternum. It is a soft cartilage. Then we've got the shaft, that is the curved part. Somebody has a question. A shaft part. Yes, Andrew, you've raised your hand.
Excuse me, madam, could you
Yes.
kindly repeat the views?
We have from the front, just a minute. From the front, we talk of the anterior view. Then we have from the back, it is referred to as the posterior view. The posterior view from the back. Just a minute. Then from the lower side, we've got the ventral view. The lower side, you have the ventral view. Then on the side, you have the lateral view. The lateral view on the side. Then using the long bones, that is appendicular, the appendicular skeleton, which will be consisting of the limbs. And then we have, we've got the girdles, the shoulder girdle and the pelvic girdle. So the bone, which is the part of the bone that is closely attached to the central line of the body, we use the word proximal end. Then the part that is away, we use the distal end. So if I take, for example, I have my forearm, the part which is on the shoulder, the part of the bone that is next to the shoulder, it is the proximal end. The one which is on the wrist, that is the distal end. Comfortable now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. At what time do you break for lunch?
12:45.
Yeah?
1:45.
Okay, Sawa, I need to spare some 10 minutes for some few questions. Now, you divided the regions of the vertebral column into several regions. Those which are located on the neck, they are referred to as cervical or region. Then those which are going to be on the thorax region, they are referred to as thoracic region. Then on the abdomen region, they will be referred to as the lumbar. Then on the hip region, they'll be referred to as the sacral vertebra. And then in between the girdles, the left and the left side of gluteal muscles, there is a small short bone that is going to be referred to as the coccyx, which we shall say that it is vestigial to human being. So we have regions and particular parts of the bone. So in the vertebral column, those bones are supposed to end with the word vertebra. Vertebra. Vertebra is singular, vertebrae is plural. Vertebra is singular, vertebrae is plural. On the neck region, we have 7 of them. The first bone is referred to as the atlas. The first bone referred to as the atlas. That is what is going to receive the occipital condyles of the skull. Then the second bone, you referred to them as the axis. Then we have cervical 3 to 7. So we do not talk of cervical bone because of the cervix, which you already covered in the reproductive system in females. So they are always supposed to end with the word vertebra. Atlas, vertebra, axis, vertebra, cervical, vertebra. Sawa?
Yes.
With the reason, it's because the atlas has another English meaning, the axis has another English meaning, and the cervix also. So they must end up with the word vertebra. So we have general characteristics of these vertebra. Characteristics of all the vertebra. Can I have people to talk about that? Characteristics, general characteristics of cervical vertebra. Characteristics of all. Wajua sasa siwajui majina. I don't know who is who. Cervical vertebra. Characteristics of, general characteristics of the vertebra. General characteristics of vertebra. Matiru. Albert. He has disappeared. A volunteer, please. Volunteer, please.
Have vertebral canals for passage of blood vessels and nerves.
Vertebral canals. You have very large holes that are present there that is going to allow the blood vessels, particularly the arteries. They are majorly arteries, and then the nerves, correct? Another adaptation?
They have
Its transverse process are broad and wing-like, offering a large surface area for attachment of neck muscle.
Yeah. So just a minute, the vertebral canals is restricted. Those are only found in the cervical vertebra. So otherwise, we normally say that they have notches, or the vertebral bones have the notches to allow the passage of blood vessels and the nerves. Then we have the transverse processes that increases the surface area for muscle attachment. Good. And that adaptation. Okay. The spinal cord passes through. The spinal cord passes through the central hole, which is referred to as the neural canal. The neural canal. Then we have articular facets. The articular facets that is going to allow each bone to join with the adjacent one, either along or on the lateral side. Then we have a large solid part of the bone, which is referred to as the centrum. Then we have the neurospine that is going to increase the surface area for muscle attachment, and it is normally going to depend on the position of the vertebra. The more the muscles, the longer the neurospine. Then we have the boundaries of the bone, where to protect the spinal cord. It is referred to as the neural arc. Then the neural canal, I've said that it is an opening or an aperture that is going to allow the passage of the spinal cord. So we have seen that the vertebral canals are only restricted to the cervical vertebra. Otherwise, the rest are going to be modified to their particular functions. Now, I intend to move away from now the biology bit of it in terms of the syllabus and go to the life skills. Can we have everybody unmuting? Can we have everybody unmuting? None. From our end, from the encounter of 2022 exam, from the encounter of 2022 exam, it has been a very rough road for us because of unprepared students. Therefore, Makelele iko. Mute now. I will just pick a few, those who are ready to just mute. Too much noise. Too much noise. Kindly mute. Jonathan, mute. Jonathan, we are listening to your household secrets. Now, I've said that we have issues of this year exam because of students being unprepared, all just the so-called the rote learning, and therefore we feel that sometimes we are caught off guard and prepared. The intensity of the papers this year has taught us to be very keen on the content, the mastering of the content. So from 4 to B, please read in between the line in the textbooks. And the cost for this year is the too much reliance on the summary books, the revision books. Students, they are familiar with the questions, but then they do not know the language to express themselves. It is costly. So can you internalize the content and have student interactions with the book? The last minute is a killer. The last minute is a killer. We are lost. Biology paper 3, it was tough for us. Mathematics was tough for us. Chemistry paper 1 was a killer. So 2023, make sure that we do not find ourselves in morgue or now in the grave. From the department, okay, from the Kiswahili lesson, I had something, Uzembe, Uzembe, sijui what, now Uzembe, Alliance High School, laziness kills Alliance High School. So I hope you can apply that statement as you prepare yourselves. So from your area as a student, which issues do we require to address in the department? Issues which we require to address the department so that we can get a mean of 10.5 from your class. Issues which we require to address so that we can have a mean of more than 10.5 from your class. Hello?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
I'm suggesting that we have topical examinations, just like we normally have with mathematics, so that we get familiar with the answers and the questions, so that we not only rely on theory that we read from the textbook, but we also know how the questions are set and stuff. Yes.
Okay, topical questions. So
maybe it could be taken in, like, let's say once in 2 weeks, or once in a week, if possible.
Okay. Can I have a student who is supposed to be in charge of that? Do you have an academic prefect? Yes?
Not yet. We haven't. We are yet to choose one.
Okay, so whoever is going to be chosen then is supposed to be picking papers from particular teachers, because every teacher is allocated to do some work. Okay, whoever is going to be chosen. Do we have another issue? Another issue? Another issue? Yes, Doria?
I was going to say that I don't think there is any other issue.
So as individuals, I expect that you prepare yourself as an individual. Your time to be in Alliance School is becoming close to the end. So it is individual responsibility. Otherwise, the teacher interactions, we are saying that do not limit yourselves to only your subject teacher. So we have the 9 of you, 9 teachers, and those others who are not teaching your class or teaching the whole stream. So teachers, I think they are a bit, they are receptive to answering of the questions on where the student requires to be helped. So can we have open mind and open interactions with your teachers? We are yet to embark on the practicals. Form 4, we do both dry practicals and the hands-on practical. You must approach the paper using the theory, bit of it. The first 15 minutes, you are supposed to approach the paper theoretically. So that practical is referred to as dry practical. Then the moment you are turned hands-on, then you are able to manipulate the specimen or the apparatus. Sawa?
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
in less than 24 to 48 hours, we are celebrating Christmas. Those who are in mood, it has come, and therefore we advocate for being responsible and engaging critical thinking, and also being somebody of value in the society. Otherwise, wish you Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and expect a good working team 2023 with a vision of scoring more than 10.5 mean in biology.
Amen.
Merry Christmas.
Amen.
Simtoe sadaka sasa.
How much, Mwalimu?
My sections do not go for less than 6,000 envelope.
Only.
Peke yake.
Sadaka mtu yoyote.
Dogo.
Hiyo ni
Sasa
kidogo.
Sadaka
Mi
mtu yoyote.
No problem. I have no problem with the small, yeah? The smaller it is, the more valuable. I will consider that.
Thank you for the lesson.
My my M-Pesa line is open. Yeah?
Okay.
Otherwise, enjoy your food. There is an essay question there as you eat your meals, if it is available. A whole 20 mark essay question, explain how digestion occurs in a gentleman like you. Have a good day.
Pardon?
Likewise.
Pardon gani bwana na unaenda kukula saa is pardon. Please pardon the
Thank
amount
you.
of food
Thank
and
you
the
for
quality
this.
of food which you are going to eat. And
So
write
the
the essay question.
The AC.
Same.
Thanks for
Have
the
a Merry
lesson.
Christmas.
The AC.
Yeah.
You too, bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.